For you this offseason, kind of what was sort of your focus? What did you want to focus on? What did you want to concentrate on the most?
First off, just learning and growing from last year, applying it, and really just kind of locking into a routine, a rhythm of everything, being very diligent, consistent. It's something I've always prided myself on, but really just tried to make minor improvements to just kind of level it up. My routine, my process, just come back a better player. Not a completely different player because that's probably unrealistic, but just trying to be realistic about how I can improve within the margins and just come back a better player.
I know with your journey, it's always been about kind of proving yourself and, all the way through. Do you feel, though, this is a little bit back to roots in the sense that last year we kind of figured you'd be a starter? This year it's a little bit of a different role for you potentially, but you have an opportunity to be a key factor.
I'm real comfortable here, man. I'm real comfortable here.
And just in terms of your shooting, I think what most people don't realize is for long stretches of the season, you shot 40 to 45% from three.
Yeah.
And you had those kind of runs.
Yeah, I mean, look, I try not to get too caught up in it. Obviously, it's unrealistic to say that you're never going to. But yeah, man, I try to just be process-driven with it. I know it sounds good and it's cliche, but I really do. You have stretches when the ball isn't going in. Obviously, it can weigh on you a little bit, but I've grown a lot in that area. Going through that last year, it hardens you in a lot of respects. So, you're not going to see anything different. I'm going to continue to let it fly.
When you look back at that stretch of the season, what was it? Was it the early stretch of the season? Because again, there was a 4-month period you shot close to 43% from three.
It's never one thing. It's a lot of contributing factors. Looking back, watching some of the film, I don't even recognize the player in some respects. Just the way the ball was coming out. Some of it's physical, some of it's mental. They just kind of compound off of each other. So, I feel like I'm in a great place. Between the ears and playing with some levity, which is nice. So I'm ready to go.
Yeah, because that's when we were talking about it last year. It's sometimes. Is it usually the mental that affects the physical there? I mean, because your form, your form to you, when you look back at it, it looked different to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's a joint relationship. One can affect the other can affect the other. Shooting isn't a perfect science. It's more of an art in a lot of ways, So you got to have things firing on all cylinders. That's mentally, that's physically. And one little thing being kind of off can kind of throw the whole thing in a funk, especially when you're trying to be so careful, and I think that was kind of my thing. I felt like I was being very careful instead of just confident with that thing right.
How did you get it back? Was there a moment you were like, okay, I feel comfortable, I feel like myself?
Man. It's funny, I never think of it as back. I think of it as just continuing to push the envelope of what I can be. So, I have stretches where the ball's going in. I try not to get too hyped up about that either. It's always about making little adjustments here and there.
You look at the Atlanta game, obviously, where you had, the 8 threes in the playoffs? Correct?
Yeah, I think it was 8, yeah. 8 or 9 maybe?
Right.
8 maybe? I don't know.
I think it was 8 of 9. When you look at that, do you look at the good stuff? Or when you tend to focus going forward, do you look at, okay, it looked good that game, I'm going to look more at that, or you look at the games where you struggle?
Honestly, a game like Atlanta is an outlier, the same way 1 for 9 is an outlier. You got to take those with a grain of salt either way. It's more about, like I said, just being process driven about the day in, day out, not getting too caught up in the good or the bad. Maybe if there's a stretch to go back and live those moments, just kind of see them visually might help. But I really don't try to live off that type of stuff too much. Instead, just kind of be very, very present of how I feel it. The ball's moving, the body's moving in the present.
This team obviously has some openings, even though everybody talks about running it back with everybody but PJ pretty much. But there are 2 spots in the starting lineup that look like they could potentially be open. There's a lot of different ways that Spoke can go. You feel pretty comfortable playing with all kinds of combinations on this team, right? Whatever direction Eric wants to go in?
Yeah, that's not my job, man, to figure out who plays well with whom. For me, this training camp is all about just getting back out there and competing and having fun, instilling some joy. Hopefully in the way I play, but then hopefully, the way other people play. And just showing that I'm capable, man. Continuing to prove it, show it. Being back together, collaborating, all that sort of good stuff that coaches love using as buzzwords. So that's what it's about. I mean, the rotation and stuff, above my pay grade, man. It's for coaches and stuff to figure out. So we'll see how it all shakes out.
You want to coach someday? You have any interest in that?
Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. Time will tell.
But you're having fun again, right? Is that the key thing?
Yeah. you know, that's been a big emphasis for me. Just try to enjoy it, you know. So it's been, I mean, what's not to enjoy, right? As crazy as that sounds, I've had stretches in my career where I haven't been able to, and you know, we're in the Bahamas, you know, playing a game. So.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, covering you for a couple of years, you'd always look like you were having fun.
Yeah,
but during that stretch, it looked like it was wearing on you.
It's not much fun when you're, you know, shooting 25% from three or whatever it is. So they come hand in hand. You know, it's a symbiotic relationship. You know, one can thrive when the other's in check. So yeah, man, we'll see.